All right, so now you understand what negative targeting is. Let's now talk about how to put that in action. Destiny, take it away.
So when it comes to actually analyzing your keyword performance, your search term report, and understanding what terms to negate, what terms to pause, there's a few different things we need to look for, whether it's conversion rate, whether it's bid, all of those specifics. That's going to guide you into appropriately negating keywords and or pausing keywords we're going to talk about right here.
One quick thing I want to ask, I think is the most common question, is what's the difference and when to know when you should pause a target as opposed to add a negative keyword or negative match?
Great point. So negatives are valuable when you are running campaigns like auto campaigns or broad and phrase match campaigns, where even if you pause the keyword, they may still pop up elsewhere. So going back to your iPhone example, you could have paused iPhone 5, but your auto campaign could have kept populating iPhone 5 case, iPhone 5 screen protector, iPhone 5 XYZ. That's when we're going to lean into negative targeting, when we want to kind of impact the rest of the account. If we just want to pause, that's very siloed and it's only focused on the specific term that we have a bunch of data and insights for.
All right, let's go ahead and hop in and see this in action.
So the last big optimization lever that you can pull again is the negating a keyword. We've talked about lowering your bids and optimizing that way. And the final thing is just shutting them off. When do you know when to pause a keyword and when do you know to add a keyword as a negative match? Now, again, we don't typically like to aggressively negate keywords because as we've shown here, you can have a bad target and lower the bid and it still be profitable. We like to choose when to negative a keyword when we know that keyword's just not going to work. So we've used the example of an iPhone case and an Android case. That's very clear. Where it gets difficult is, let's say I sell chocolate protein. If I sell chocolate protein, should I negate the term vanilla protein? A lot of people are going to just say yes. But if you think about the customer that's in the protein aisle, they typed in chocolate. If they see your ad and they can see it's vanilla and they still clicked, there's a good opportunity they still want vanilla protein. That's how you need to think about your keywords in your customer journey as well. Maybe they're not going to be as likely to convert because they were looking for chocolate, but there's still a good chance to win them over. So it's a little bit of, making a decision based off intuition. What do you think your customers are going to do with that keyword? But also there is opportunity to use data. So I think there's two scenarios on this exact screen that I would call out and say, hey, there's a big opportunity here to either pause or negate a keyword. We're selling, countertop egg holders, as we all know. If we scroll up here, we can see this is not a great performing campaign for us. Conversion rate, that term drove a lot of clicks and didn't even drive a sale. Should I negate it? I wouldn't. Data-wise, maybe it's a lot of clicks and not a lot of orders, but it's countertop egg holder for fresh eggs. I can see here this is a very relevant keyword. People just weren't buying at that time. So I'm going to pause it, which is exactly what you can see there. Now, if we scroll a little bit lower, we can also see that this loose match campaign performed really poorly for us. We have less than a 1% conversion rate, 194% ACoS, a lot of clicks, one order. In this specific scenario, it's not easy to know whether or not to negate because it is an auto campaign. But this is another scenario where, I may pause that match type because even with a 16-cent bid, I'm not going to be profitable. We walked through that math just now. You're not going to make it work. So it's maybe worth pausing that term. So I'd say that's kind of the biggest decision to make is first identify any term that you absolutely know is not relevant. Not relevant. If it's protein, chocolate versus vanilla, it's still relevant. If it's coffin bookshelf versus black bookshelf, still relevant. So identify those first. Negate them if needed. If you don't want to show up for someone's brand name, negate that as needed. But when it comes to using data to make your decision, you can see in these scenarios, there's a lot of context that honestly goes into that decision, which is why we like to rely on lowering our bid or pausing first. Negative is really harsh. You're never going to show up for that ever again. And it can almost be a little bit too harsh. Pausing it, make sure it doesn't show up. But lowering your bid means you're going to show up just occasionally in baby little bite sized pieces that can still be really profitable for you if you do your math correctly. So, hope that helps.
All right, excellent. So I mentioned earlier how been using software to do all of this, and like if you only have like two or three campaigns or one product, you can do it fairly easily just inside of what Destiny was showing. But as you scale out, it just exponentially gets a little bit more difficult to optimize because now you're downloading a lot of spreadsheets, or you're having to go into a million tabs in Seller Central to go to all of your different products, and then you got to run pivot tables, and got to know how to like do V lookups and all this stuff. And then after you get all the data you want, now you got to go back into Seller Central, find that campaign, make the necessary thing, whether it be negative matching, whether it be pausing a target, whether it be adjusting a bid, etc. And so obviously as you grow, you can kind of imagine how much it might take you. So in Helium 10 ads, I just took a lot of time setting up different rules. I'm not going to go too in depth here on how each rule, but for example, the last thing we were talking about was negative targeting. So basically, the way I set up this rule was I just picked the campaigns that I wanted it to apply to, and I said, hey, you know what? On this one, if I get 0 sales but more than 20 clicks, and I have different rules on all my campaigns. I don't just have one rule. Like some I might think 20 is enough, some I might think 40 I need to see. But basically, I had this rule where it says, hey, go ahead, and if you see in 60 days this happen, suggest to me to negative match that. In addition, I have one rule that applies to like a lot of the campaigns. This is just one of my many rules. If you're just wanting to do it strictly ACOS, what I did was I set up a group of rules here where I say, hey, if ACOS is between 60 and 100%, you know what? Don't bring it down all at once. I put in a formula here that's already a preset formula. I'm not some mathematician who, you might be looking at this like thinking you're back in algebra 2, junior year of high school or something. But no, this basically is saying that, hey, take what my cost per click was and multiply it by what my target ACOS is, divided by whatever ACOS I had. And then that's theoretically going to get me closer to my target ACOS. And I have this whole set of rules where I just bring it down, including a rule where I say, if it's an actual target, you know what? Pause the target instead of negative matching it, if it hits a certain criteria. So basically, all I do once a week, it takes me maybe 15 minutes. I'll go in and I'll look at all the negative the negative suggestions. Like, look at this. Here is a keyword that let me actually show you how many clicks I had. Oh, it's here. Here's a keyword that had 25 clicks. I spent $20 about and no sales. Do I want to negative match it? And all I have to do is say yes or no. I'm going to say yes, and I hit apply, and it's done. So I don't have, there's no downloading of spreadsheets or anything like that. And every week I have a couple here. I also had keyword harvesting rules. There's harvesting rules where, hey, maybe my auto campaign found a keyword or found an ASIN that had X amount of sales at a certain profitability. What do I want to do with that? Well, maybe I want to add that to like one of my manual campaigns. When you have, as we've talked about, when you have auto campaigns or broad campaigns, you're kind of at Amazon's mercy about showing up. Like maybe they show you, maybe they don't one day, maybe they do the next day, maybe they do 1 hour, maybe they don't. But theoretically, you want to be showing for profitable keywords like 24 hours a day. And the way to give you the best chance of that is putting it in an exact manual match type. And so that's why you want to take it from the auto and put it into the exact manual. And so I set up some rules like that. Like here, I have a keyword egg collecting basket. So here I spent $2.56 and I got $41 worth of sales. That's great. But again, that was probably from an auto campaign. So who knows how much of the day I'm showing.
This is actually a great example, even going back to our last negating. I have a lot of people that would have made that term a negative because we are not selling a basket. We are selling a wooden tray. But as we can see with the right combination of bid and the right combination of conversion rate, it's a really good term. It's working. Like it converted. That's what matters.
That's so important because like I know with your products, you guys want to think like buyers or
instead of just sellers, which is good, but just remember, you as a buyer is different than the next person. I might use a certain keyword to find a product. Another person for the exact same product might use a completely different keyword that would make no sense to me. I'm like, what? You're typing in that in search and expecting to get this? You never know. And then the other aspect is maybe they don't know the kind of product you're selling exists, and they do actually want an egg collecting basket, but then they see your product and they're like, oh, that's the thing I never knew I always wanted. And I didn't know there was a such thing as a wooden egg tray. That looks so much cooler than a basket. So it's so important. What Destiny has been telling you is don't just automatically assume that, oh, I got a couple clicks and this keyword doesn't look relevant. I need to negative match this right away, because you never know. It could be a very profitable one like this one here. So anyways, basically it's saying, hey, do I want to add this to my auto campaign? Do I want to add it to like my or not my auto campaign, but my broad match campaign, as well as my exact match campaign? You better believe I want to add it there. And so I can be showing up daily. The other one I showed you guys was the bids. All right. So, I'm not going to go too deep into here, but basically I'll have keywords here. Let's see, for example, here's actually another like a negative target. I'm like, hey, you're spending a lot of money on loose match. Do you want to keep optimizing it, or do you just want to give up, because you have so many clicks with 0 sales? Here's one where like wood egg holder. Okay. I've already started bringing it down. I was getting 91 cents a click, which is over 100% ACoS. Now, again, some people, it's not necessarily right or wrong. Some people might say, you know what, 100% ACoS, it's very doubtful. I'm going to get it down. Me, I'm like, no, I still want to, try it out. Like Destiny showed you guys, sometimes it's about the bid. It's not necessarily that it's a bad keyword. So I've been bringing it down thanks to these rules. And now you can see it's like at 50 cents. And so the question is, all right, at 50 cents, maybe my placement is going to start dropping, but can I still get visibility? Can I still get sales? If I do get sales, it's going to be a lot more profitable than, paying 107% of ACoS. And so if I want to go ahead and implement that, I just hit that button and I say apply, and it's done. So all of these I can do in about, maybe 10, 15 minutes for all of my accounts, so that I don't have to be, spending time downloading all these spreadsheets. So regardless, the same principles apply though, whether you're using software like Helium 10 ads, you're doing it like Destiny showed in Seller Central, you've got to be doing the same things. The only difference here is one kind of like automates a lot of the hard work and the calculations and stuff, so that I can just take action right away. And that's pretty much the only difference. But the strategy stays the same regardless if you're using software or not.
All right, so now hopefully you guys are well prepared to have your own set of rules for if you're going to negative match something or go ahead and pause a target, how you're going to do it, whether you're going to do it in the ad console by looking at reports and adding things on the spreadsheets, or you're going to use Helium 10 ads. Whatever the case is, make sure you have a strategy, because let me tell you one thing about Amazon. They are very happy to take your money. If you want to just keep giving them money on clicks that aren't converting for you, it's not very likely that they're going to say, no, please, Amazon seller, please stop giving us this money. They would gladly accept it. So it's up to you and I, as far as the sellers and Destiny here, that we have to set our own rules to make sure we're giving Amazon the money that's needed in order to get visible, but we're stopping the bleed when necessary. So hopefully you guys implement a good negative strategy. Now, throughout the last few groups of modules, and I don't know how many videos we've done so far, 15, 20 or so, we pretty much have a good core basic understanding, I feel, of Amazon advertising, but it doesn't end here. So now we're going to get into some advanced topics. What's a preview of some of these advanced topics we're going to go over?
I think, in my opinion, graduating from the fundamentals, which is keyword research, bid management, campaign setup, to advanced topics is a pretty large leap. And we're breaking it out in a way that should still be an easy bite for everyone in the audience. But I think the core topics is really budgeting and pacing, right? How do you take a budget and maximize it across all of these available opportunities we've discussed, whether it's, utilizing portfolios, different ad types, things like that. We have performance analysis and reporting. Amazon's got some really cool reports that we can back into, from impression share report to the targeting report, that can be very powerful for a brand. I think advanced optimization techniques. One of the things that we discuss a lot is how do you adjust your distribution across branded keywords versus non-branded keywords versus competitor keywords and ranking campaigns. We're going to chat about that. And I think the fun one, well, I mean,
All of this is fun. What are you talking about, Destiny?
all of this is fun, but like I have a preference for what's fun here. And it's really getting into Amazon Creative and how you can leverage creative with display and DSP. That's where you really start to stand out on the page when you're leaning into video ads and lifestyle images and DSP campaigns that are targeting someone based on their demographic insights. That gets incredibly exciting.
And a small spoiler alert. Maybe you heard some of what she said, and maybe you're a newer seller and thinking, okay, well, I know that they said in the first modules this applies to everybody, even up to the huge sellers. Destiny's probably talking to huge sellers when we're talking about videos and custom images and stuff, because I don't know anything about art. There's no way I can afford to buy a graphic designer or something like that. No, this applies to everybody. We're going to show you ways that you don't even have to necessarily pay outside money in order to get some pretty good looking creatives out there, even as a new seller. So definitely look forward to that. We'll see you guys in the next group of modules.